Her journey. Yes. And I know she'll have terrific stories to tell us. And, every time a spiritual leader gets an opportunity to go outside of their space, they're coming back with stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that's all about.
I thought what happens in Montana stays.
I didn't say all the stories. So I saved my inspirational moment to read to you here because I want to talk right off of it. And so I'd like to read for you an excerpt from A Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen. And this little passage he entitled, When We Love Like God. That one alone just... And here's the story. Master Yogi, I used to know how to say this, Paramahansa? That's it. Yogananda encountered a vehement fundamentalist who argued that all bad people should go to hell and will. Yogananda asked him, "Do you have any children?" "I have a son," the man answered. "Does he have any bad habits?" "Sometimes he comes home drunk." "Then the next time he comes home drunk, place his head in the oven, turn up the heat as high as you can, and make him stay there forever." Yogananda suggested. "I would never do that," the man retorted. "Why not?" "Because I love him." "Then if you, even with your human frailties, love your son so much that you would never punish him so severely, then imagine how much more your heavenly Father loves you and would never take delight in your suffering." And Alan ends the passage with, "Punishment has no place in a universe founded in love." So that part alone, if we can just take that to heart, punishment has no place in a universe founded in love. To me, it always goes back to that God is perfect, that God, the oneness, the allness is love itself. If we can grasp that and truly focus on experiencing that, I believe with all my heart that sense of safety that comes with that experience changes everything. The game is brand new. This is our workshop. This is our playground. This is our laboratory where we come to work it out and figure it out. And we're safe. We are safe in that experience. I don't believe for a minute. We know that difficult things happen, right? But does God bring those things? It's like an abacus up there. Okay, you had this thing and you did that, so now I'm going to move this, shift this over here and make this happen to you. Isn't that kind of like him sticking our head in the oven, It's like, is it really? I mean, how much maneuvering would have to happen for that to take place? So I want to tell you a story about what I did this week. So it was an interesting week. So Sunday, as you know, I was here. I made the comment because I was referring to an accident I had and how it actually shifted my life. And I made the comment, sometimes you have to lay down to look up. Little did I know, I was going to play that out the very next day because I did a really goofy thing. I was hooking something up in our media room, and so I had to get down kind of behind the TV. And I'm plugging something in, and I get it all set up, and it's a big screen. It's a very large screen, and it comes maybe only this far, the bottom edge off the floor. So I've got it. I go to stand up, and with all the weight that you stand, I conked my head on the very corner of that thing. Well, I came down on all fours, I could tell you that, and I was gasping. So I go over to my daughter, and I have her bring me ice. The next thing I know, I'm sitting there, and now I want to hook up the thing I went to hook up. So I'm sitting there with this ice pack on the top of my head, and I'm still trying to figure the thing out, and it's slipping, and I'm going like this. Does that tell you anything about why I might have conked my head? I'm just a little too focused on the do part, right? And not the, hey, give yourself a minute here, right? If I can't take a minute to hold the ice pack on my head, something is wrong with this picture. So, I kind of have a little bit of a headache, don't think much of it. We get on with the day. The next day I wake up with a splitting headache and trying to focus, can't focus at work. And so they were like, why don't you, so I call in my doctor and they're like, you need to go get imaging done. Bottom line is I had a mild concussion. No brain bleed, I'm okay. There's nothing they need to do for it. But I have to tell you, sometimes these things happen just to shift us, I believe, out of where we are and give us a new perspective. My first perspective is the fact that me and medicine is a very interesting thing. So the painkiller that they gave me in the ER, Randy can tell you, it got quite amusing as he's driving me out of the parking lot that's in a spiral, right? And I'm feeling like I'm at Disney World and I'm laughing. I think this is hilarious that we're moving. Yes, we're moving. Yes, he's looking, yes, you're right, we're moving. And so I'm all the way home. I think this is very funny, right? And calling Sky to tell her there's no brain bleed. So, that sort of thing. So I get home and couldn't find the seatbelt on my lounge chair for some reason. I tried. It wasn't there. So needless to say, I needed to stay put for a bit. And so, I've had a lot of weird illnesses and injuries in my life. And so this one makes you say, okay, we're spiritual beings. How am I using this in a purposeful way? I can say, is there a purpose for this? I believe there is. If you don't believe that, well, how can you use it anyway for a positive thing? Well, there's no doubt I needed to slow down. I really needed to slow down and get my bearings. And so that has been, my week has been resting, recouping, recalibrating, taking as few of those pills as I could, because there's still no seatbelt on that chair, so anything could happen. So, but my point is, I have friends that, it's understandable that one could go to, what did I do to deserve this? Did I do something bad? Am I a bad person? Am I being punished? Oh, I said that thing about that person, so I probably got conked on the head because of that, So it all goes back to, do we believe in a God of good and a God of love? And if we do, then how can I use this to further my good? If I am safe from the divine, safe in the divine, what is there to fear? It's a matter of just healing from where you are. It's knowing that the universe supports that healing. So I'm given an opportunity to heal. I had just gotten the message in my guidance, feeling like I was chatting with my mom, and that it was time, sort of the last frontier. I feel like it's not that I have everything else down, but I feel like I have the ball rolling on most things as far as evolution in my world, but I'm not good at taking care of this physical vessel. I have not been good about that. And I got this message one morning, and it said, stop doing things to your body and start doing things for your body. And I thought, well, that put it nice and simple. I like bumper sticker type of things. I can work with that. And I got excited about that, and then not 4 days later, I'm like, but I think that is to underline it and say, don't bypass that message. Let's bold it and let's underline it. What are you going to do for yourself? So I get the pack of ice, but can I set down the dumb thing I'm trying to set up for 2 seconds and just be with the ice and let it, be in the moment and let it heal me? To really take in, really, it's comical when you think about it, that I'm still trying to do something with this thing perched on my head. So now I hope a few days later that I got the message, and I believe if I didn't, It's not that God said, okay, we're going to conk you over the head. I believe that our highest self, that there is such a desire to learn. There's such desire for it. We're here, we want to understand. How do we connect? How do we connect into that allness that is love? How do we dwell there? And so when we do things that get us off track, like not taking care of this sacred vessel we've been given to move through this journey, then we do things, I believe, we, in our highest wisdom, set these things up. I don't believe that God has to do that. I think it's like a waterfall over craggy rocks, right? I don't believe that every little molecule of water has to say, well, I'm going to go this way and you go that way. I don't think the universe works in that minutia. I think the divine order is such that gravity is the rule, right? So what if there are spiritual laws that say this whole thing is taken care of and you will flow where you need to flow? And if you need this kind of healing, you'll flow this way. And if you need this kind of healing, you'll flow that way. And when you get it, then you can move over to this area. And it's a whole other ball game because it is a loving, benign, supportive universe that we're dwelling in. And there's no fear. I think if we can take the element of fear of God out of it, it changes the game. If we truly know that we are loved and blessed and supported, how does that change our experience of this? Not for a minute did I feel a victim in this situation. I could laugh. I could say, I get it. Thank you. Got the message. We don't need to send another one. I got the first one. I'm going to sit down now. And, Netflix is my friend. Sleeping is my friend. So where this went in my mind, in that dwelling of, can we understand what God itself is? Because I think as we ponder that and believe in a God of good and identify more and more what that means to us, that's what we bring into our meditations and our experience. And I just think that's where the yummy juice of it is, and the joy of life and the appreciation and the gratitude come from. So I started thinking about the prayer of Jesus, the Lord's Prayer, right? And I believe Jesus is our way shower and was trying to show us how an effective prayer might look. And so when I look at it, I want to take it from a different place, and I'll take the first part. Now, this is just a very light. You could go on any of these phrases for the whole talk, okay? But I'm just going to give a light overview of how this connected with me. When I say, Our Father who art in heaven, okay, to me that's saying what started all of this still dwells in the allness that is undisturbed and perfect, still lives there, which art in heaven, is there now. It doesn't say goodness ever moved outside of that original space of love and goodness. It is the allness. It still dwells in that perfection. Hallowed be thy name, I think, is just saying anything good that we can say, can we understand how sacred that is? Can we understand the glory of that? And that is the answer to this craving that we have to understand spirit in us. And thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The first thing I want to say about that is I believe this prayer isn't a beseeching. It isn't saying, please bring this down to us. May we be worthy enough for you to bring this down to us. I think it's saying, this is what is. So if it's saying thy kingdom, the kingdom that understands the area, your kingdom is just an area, it's like a county. The kingdom that is perfection is here with us right now. And thy will be done, saying, okay, that's what I want to connect with, not all my busy thoughts, not all the riffing that I do when I'm not in my highest self, But I want to align with that. So the will that you would have in your perfect vision, Creator, may I align with that and feel that energy and that love on earth as it is in heaven. In other words, in this earthly experience, can I bring in my knowledge that this is perfect, that this is love, that this is the allness? And this is where, for me, it gets really fun, too. Instead of just saying, give us this day our daily bread, which again sounds like a beseeching, just put the you in front of it. You give us this day our daily bread. You give us everything we need. You already gave it to us. It's already here. We have the tools we need for today. We have it. I love doing that affirmation when I feel a little flustered or I don't feel like I have what I need. You give us this day our daily bread. It's right here. It's right now. You forgive us our trespasses. Now, I'd like to think about trespasses for a minute, because in my mind, trespasses means, or to trespass is to go somewhere really that's not yours, that you don't belong. Well, we do that even in our own self, don't we? When we step outside of what our highest self knows and is calling for us to do, even within our own being, we're trespassing. That doesn't belong to us. That's not our space. When we're going off into the belief in anything other than wholeness, we're not in our space. It doesn't belong to us. And then, of course, there's the added layer of trying to arrange someone else's life, which is a whole other ballgame, but that is also trespassing. That's not our, we have, what's that, the old song, mind your own business. If you mind your own business, you won't be minding mine. In other words, we have enough to be getting on with to take care of this being and this being's walk than to try to rearrange how someone else is living. As we forgive those who trespass against us, can we know that when they step into our space, we're so in our space that there's no room for them to shift us out of our lane? We own our lane. We own our lane. And we can, in that space, when you're in your strongest self, you wouldn't judge someone else for thinking they're trying to be of service or they're trying to exert their power because they feel powerless. You will see it for what it is and be able to let it go. So I believe that's what that part is. And you lead us not into temptation instead of lead us not. Please don't lead us there. Would God lead us there? Would God lead us to something that would harm us? No. So you lead us not. It's an affirmation. You wouldn't lead us somewhere that would harm us. I'm affirming that. I'm saying I know that. I know with all my being that you have my best interest at heart. And while I'm saying that, I just want to say that I feel that in your concept of God, open up the thought that this is not some little individual, but more that allness, the divine wisdom, divine intelligence. And I believe that very personal love that we desire so much from our Creator, we were given each other. That's part of the daily bread. We were given each other to understand how to feel that personal love and how to give that personal love and how to be of service and how to keep that connection going. We were given each other, we've given this desire to connect with each other because that's how we get home. That's how we understand our allness. The more I get to know you, the more I see myself in you. The more that I want to help, the more that I see how you reach out and bless me. And it's so easy for me to feel such gratitude for everyone. And oh, wow, look at the color they put into the pot. Look at what they added to this whole thing. And to truly be able to appreciate each other and how exciting life can be with all the many flavors. It's so much better. I've always had this thought that, if we were all meant to be the same, then there would be one person, right? Because that would be redundant and wasteful, and God is not wasteful. This universe is not wasteful. If you look at nature and the divine way, things that are the divine order is mind-boggling. the microscopic, up through, the wide visions they give us of the universe these days. You see the divine order at work. You see how interconnected that we all are. And so I believe we're meant to understand and to reach for each other. I believe the healing and wholeness and that personal love we crave is so that we will connect with others and so that we will understand how to plug in. Because our plugging in may be something that we do by ourselves part of the time, but it's not really plugging in until we're connected with everyone else. I'm not saying you have to be out there. I'm not trying to freak any introverts out. We each have our own way of expressing and feeling in the world, and that's fine. But I'm just saying I believe, I have this phrase that it's been coming up in my meditations a lot lately, and that's reaching out and reaching in. And I think there's that, it's like an ebb and flow thing. So there's that time of just, when you settle and you pray and you center in yourself, when you're doing your meditations, there's a reaching in and there is a recognition and acknowledgement of that divine spark that already is within you and that you desire to expand. And then, for me at least, the experience becomes so fulfilling, filling up to the point of overflowing, that then I just have a desire to pour that out into the world. I have a desire to pray for the people in my world that I know are suffering, or to pray for people that need prayer and nobody knows they need that right now. So let me pour that out. Let me give that out. So there's the reaching out and the reaching in. And I think we need both. And there are the times when we sit down to pray that we do that filling for what is that part of me that even believes in lack in this moment. Where can I fill up? I need, for me right now, filling up with healing and wholeness and understanding of how to connect and bless this vehicle that I've been given. And I just think connecting, the reaching in and the reaching out, and it becomes the ebb and the flow, the breathing in, the breathing out, bringing in what we need, letting go of what we do not need. But there's also, that wave is also the taking in what you need and giving out the surplus, because as you connect to that all, it is unlimited. That source is unlimited. So the more that you feel that unlimited, then it's so much easier to want to give it out into the world. And so it says, you lead us not into temptation, but you deliver us from evil. I found it interesting in my early journaling that the word evil is live backwards. So I like to think of it like that evil is just living backwards. It's living with a completely skewed vision of how to connect and how to dwell in this gift of life that we've been given. It's just a complete kind of reversal of understanding. And so to greet that and know that's not where we're dwelling, we may get a little off track here and there, but our GPS brings us right back. It says, nope, make the next right. You can get back on track. Because we truly are meaning well. We're not going to get so far askew that up is down and down is up. We have that trust in ourselves and our connection that we're not going to go so far astray. That's just, if to feel the safety of knowing that so deep inside of you, that if you get angry at something, then use it. Understand, I'm not saying get angry, but I'm saying if it comes up, use it. How does this motivate me? Anger can be fuel. It can fuel change because it points to you, what am I afraid of here? Anger is fear under pressure. What am I afraid of here? And how do I heal that with my understanding of God, of my strength? What do I apply to this? What tool do I use? Of those many gifts, that daily bread, the tool chest, the little tool belt we have, We have everything we need to apply to that situation. I think so much of it is we've been trained to be afraid to look things in the eye because we're afraid that we'll see that God is not good and loving, or God would be mad at us. Do you want to look at God in the eye that you think is mad at you? So you step back when you need to step forward the most. So to step forward and know, I'm hurting here, emotionally, physically, whatever it may be. Can I open myself to the love that is there for me? The divine riches. It's as though we are multi-billionaires and never go to the bank to withdraw anything, right? So to say, this is all here. Can I just step into it and allow the flow to heal me, to lift me? That whatever I need, there is the supply to heal. Just healing is just the awareness of our wholeness that already is so that we can express it. So added on to that prayer later was, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. And I think that's just an added affirmation to say, forever and ever, we're in God. You cannot fall outside of God. That God is the presence and the power, the only presence and the only power. So let's take that into meditation. So as you relax further, let your mind consider, what would it be like to love like God? What would it be like to look into your own eyes and consider how a loving Creator cherishes this being that you are? Sees your beauty, sees your struggle, sees your courage, sees your strength, sees the perfect outcome for you, and how you are absolutely on the path that is unfolding. The river gently going through many adventures before it joins the ocean. And each moment perfect, beautiful, inspiring, going over this rock, seeing that forest, always a part of the divine consciousness, inevitably moving into our understanding of the allness. And can we see one before us in our mind's eye that is struggling in some way? Can we hold this high vision of them? God dwells every bit as much in them as in the holiest being you can conceive of. The divine spark is in this one, playing out their journey as they come to their understanding of wholeness. Can we wish them well? Can we pour high divine energy into their experience, into their spiritual bank account for them to draw on the second they crack open, just enough to let it flow in? And can we envision that? Can we envision them choosing to allow themselves to be comforted? And as there is comfort and a sense of safety, they are open to the next best step. And feel that within yourself as well. That you settle into this unlimited supply of good. That you open a crack or more in your belief, in your way of living, be living, that in God we dwell. We dwell, we wallow in goodness. That every time we choose to laugh with a friend, that is part of God. You are perpetuating an energy that ripples out connection. That every time you take a hand of someone who could use your comfort or support, you are perpetuating good in the world. That every time you choose to step forward and look into the face of God, you feel your wholeness. Every space you thought lacked is filled to overflowing. And this day, as you go through your day, see how many places you can see the face of God. In each other, in nature, in humor. Oh, it's so evident in music. That spark of life just needs you to love your way into it. Loving with the heart of God. Let's explore that. Try that one on. Can you feel in the core of your being just the thought of loving with the heart of God? Feel the shift in your body. Loving with the heart of God. And you think of the ones you love that are close to you. How empowering is it to think that God is loving them through you as you align. Can you look in the mirror and say, I love you with the heart of God? I love you with the heart of God. You are where you need to be on your pathway. And now you move even faster and easier and more joyfully aligned with that perfection. And we let it be so as we choose to walk in love. Feeling the sacred space you have created at this time.